What a beautiful track, sax in the dub. The next one I'm going to play for you is called Free Up Your Mind. It's another track off the album Breadbasket by Barry Dread.
Free up your mind. Free up your mind. You got to free up your mind. It's time to take a step onto a higher plane, to reach a point where we can't get hurt again. This is for our future. We got to lay the seeds. Living in the belly of oppression, which needs a laxative. Free up your mind. Free up your mind. You got to free up your mind. By your works, you get paid. Jah helps the man who helps himself. You got to do the right thing. Let your work be positive. Living in the midst of an illusion which needs reality. Free up your mind. Free up your mind. You got to free up your mind. More than 400 million in oppression. Oh yeah. It's more than time to make a change. Make a change. Free up your mind. Creates the spell, locks us in perpetual hell. He who writes the scripts of war writes the words of religion. Living in the midst of a deception, the truth can never change. Free up your mind. Free up your mind. You got to free up your mind. You got to free up your mind. You got to free, yeah, up your mind.
My Doctor by Menelik. So we'll be speaking to Barry Dredd this evening, who will be interviewing, and he's one of our North London musicians. So we'll be reasoning with Barry. Thanks. Greetings. Can you hear me now? Brilliant, brilliant. So Barry Dredd, welcome to the to Bless Radio. Welcome to the Sister Lil show, and thank you for phoning in today and to give us this interview to reason with you. So one moment, please. Okay, I'm just. Can you hear me? Okay, brilliant, brilliant. So, Barry, I noticed you had two albums, and you've done many things that you've done quite a few performances, and you've also performed with other musicians as well, and singers and songwriters. But when did you start taking an interest in music? Because there are several areas of music that you engage in. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Time when artists would come over here and they needed us, UK musicians
Yeah.
to back them, you know.
Yes.
So alongside bands like Instigators and Rough Cut, which is Undivided Roots, you
Okay.
know, we were the young blood at the time. Provide the music for the artists and we come over and we learned a lot from that process. I
Okay.
also stagnate myself as well.
Mhm. Okay. So that was really good grounding.
Yeah, brilliant grounding.
Yeah, great inspiration as well to work with all those other artists who were further along in their career and things. So this is
That's
amazing.
right. I mean, the greatest grounding was working with Vin Garden because he took us under his wing in the 80s,
Oh,
you know?
fantastic. Yeah.
And basically, he kind of just shake reggae in a way, make them realize we have to how to play it the right way,
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
That's good
So as a
grounding.
musician,
Mhm.
and been working in bands for, many years, what used to happen is, we'd work up 30, 40 songs with a singer,
Yeah.
and then the singer decides he wants to be a solo artist,
Oh.
you know,
So
and
it's
like 3, 4 years of work is wasted, and work up song them and bring in a next singer, and we have some problem with him too. So years would go by,
yeah.
and the band ain't going nowhere. Which a wicked band, that's a
Yeah.
wicked, beautiful band, and basically we just weren't progressing because of singers. So I just decided to take on the mantle of singing myself. 'Cause I didn't really see myself as a singer,
Okay.
but me just decided to go forward, and as
Mhm.
and in the first time we got Europe, in fact, is me open the show.
Mhm.
We play bass and me sing. And we just go out there, and it was at night because we didn't have a lead singer at the time.
Yeah.
So kind of drew encouragement from that, and then the band itself broke up in 1990.
Mhm.
And so from about 92, me decided to try me I go do my own thing because the band wasn't there no more, but I just kept the whole vibration of live music and thing going.
Mhm. Okay. So when did the song work? So with the songwriting, so you started going into singing in the 90s, but the songwriting and the training for becoming a bassist. When did you start playing and making your own songs without the band? So
Well, you
did
see, the
that
thing is,
start?
when I was in, you see, the thing is, when I was in the band, I was the main, me and the drumming was the main writers anyway.
Ah,
You see
okay.
me, I say, I would, it was like, we would write the songs and let the singer sing them, you know?
Okay, fantastic.
You see me, I say.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like we're struggling,
Yeah,
for songs, but what it was, it's a long, well, a long story
long.
still, because in the band we did have, some success in terms of some number one tunes,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
reggae chart.
oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
Fantastic.
but it wasn't directly credited to the band per se
Okay.
because those are the problems that caused the band to break up. It was
Okay.
like credit. Have you heard of a song called "You've Changed" by Gilroy Sidden?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
That was a
Mhm.
number one hit, but it was basically Sunset Band members.
I
But we
see.
didn't work as a unit at
Good.
the time. It was
Mhm.
bit of politics and thing and and they gave the tune away to Sir Lloyd, and it just undermined everything. But that's another story.
Yeah.
But
But
that is just the road that I went along, and I decided
mhm.
that you know what, everyone else decided they stopped playing music for a while, and I was
Mhm.
basically the only member of the band that just kept it going. And I started to work with a lot of other artists
Yeah.
as a bass player.
Ah, fantastic.
You
Yeah.
see me, I say, and
Mhm.
my great encounter with Ikula Rastafari from Jamaica.
Yes.
Yeah, I play in the Gideon family as the bassist. So through the Gideon family, I've been around the world.
Okay, fantastic. So, how was that experience? How did it develop your skills? So, like your creative journey, did it take on a new direction with these different experiences each time, or was it just a constant evolution of your creativity?
No, no, because you see, from the start, with Ras.
Mhm.
You see me, I say, and we know, say, the music is a weapon.
Yes.
You see me, I say, and it was the music, just a follow the order that was given to I. Because
Mhm.
I was influenced by the music that I heard around me at the time, the
Mhm.
vibration that was around me, which is, back to upliftment. No matter which direction you turn, to the front was Dennis Brown, to the side was Jacob Miller, behind you was Bob Marley, this side is Gregory Isaac. No matter where you turn, a Rasta vibration they're on you, telling you about Africa and so forth. So we know the type of songs we had to write from
Yes.
them time then. So that's
Okay.
why I kept the mission going, because as far as me concerned, it's a mission.
Yeah.
You see me, I say.
Yeah.
So,
It
to keep,
definitely is a
yeah, to
mission.
keep
Mhm.
playing the music for, even though there's countless of brilliant music out there already, you
Yes.
know, but, it says, even in the prophecy, that singers and players of instruments shall be dear,
Yes.
so there's a reason for music. Music, it's like the unseen force that can change, the whole scenario. And
Absolutely.
Babylon know that. That's why them work on so hard in trying to stop reggae music. Because reggae music is a very powerful force like that.
Yeah, well, it's spiritual music, reggae music, and it deals with your chakras. So it brings you into balance, um,
Yeah,
and it's something that it calls on. It's an ancestral sound.
that's right.
Yeah, so we do respond to that ancestral calling because it's innate
Exactly.
to our spirits. Even though
Yeah.
we might not operate in our spirits all the time, that music
Mhm.
calls us from within. And we all understand that call wherever we are within our nation, wherever we are across the world, and it's appreciated by many other nations too.
That's
So,
right, because it is the means of liberation. It's
yes.
all liberating force around the world use reggae music as that inspiration.
Mhm.
You know?
And
Yes.
we can see the unfolding of that inspiration because it's been a great benefit. It's brought peace in different communities. It's brought loving your neighbor. It's brought a lot of things, heavily seated on positivity
That's
within
right.
this music form. So yeah, give thanks that it's still keep going, and give thanks that you are actually keeping the torch alive.
Yes, yes, but you see, the great challenge is that the music now, when we were in our 20s, when I was in my 20s anyway, uh, you know,
Yes.
the music diversity wasn't so much. Soul, reggae, you know what I mean, and jazz, and you know, you had, you know what I'm saying. But now there's, reggae's broken down into so much different genres.
Yeah.
And the youths them have taken it on, and without, they've managed to water the message down.
Yes.
The message not getting through to the younger generation. Our youths ain't taking up that calling. There has to be a different way, because our way, the time when it was us, it was records and dances and parties, and you go to the dance and you hear certain music and it inspire you. You just turn on the radio, and the thing is that even during them times, everybody are listening to just 2 radio stations, So, you had everyone, you know what I mean?
So it was a great appreciation amongst the youth then, because it wasn't dispersed everywhere. So it wasn't that it was right at your fingertips all the time. So having just a smaller percentage of music that is relates to you was precious.
Exactly.
And I guess it's a little bit like you've got overconsumption of different things now, so you don't appreciate, because it's like a throwaway world that we live in now. So I guess that appreciation for the things that are of quality and that carry all of those elements with it that reggae music does carry isn't really felt in the same way in these generations because of this throwaway lifestyle.
That's right. I mean, it's so powerful that we know that everything that we do is always under attack or being taken over. Yeah. Because I remember watching something about Bobby Emmett doing a lecture on vinyls and music, reggae music and soul, jazz,
Yes.
What it is about the live music on vinyl is that it heals you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually got healing properties.
Absolutely.
The black wax and the diamonds stylus as a resonation of interpreting what is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're just sitting in the room with the musicians,
Yes.
And the things we used to go to dances and they should turn up the music so it was pumping right through you, healing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now it's like, I would call it sort of like genetically modified. You know what I'm saying?
That's brilliant.
Because they got us used to using computers. Because, as a bass guitarist, I have to tell you the truth, I don't get a lot of studio work, because everyone's got their own studio in their house, and everybody builds their thing with a little computer and so forth, So musicians don't get the work that they used to. We get live work, but not studio work as such, Okay.
But then there is a change. Two points I just want to go on, because you were talking about vinyls, and there is this increase of interest since last year. A vinyl, there's like a vinyl revival going on amongst many of young people. So they've started to realise the importance of actually looking back at those, because they're timeless. A lot of those tracks are timeless. So, going back and taking and learning from the elders how to do things the authentic way is a great thing to see this happening.
Not true, man.
And
Not
also
true.
you were talking about the how it is for doing studio work and live work, but now because of the internet, how do you feel about it in the music business? Because I see there are opportunities perhaps there for musicians to take their own lead.
Yeah, it's great. It is great. But it's balanced by the diversity of and the proliferation.
Yeah.
It's just so much.
Yeah.
Coming from all angles. So to weed out the good is not so easy, because there's not like an industry. It's like you're your own producer. Back in the day, somebody would invest some money in you. But now, you do it yourself now. Yeah. And, I suppose the cream eventually does come to the top.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, it
But
definitely does.
it's like, you know what I mean, unless you got a lot of money to put into things nowadays, it's like
Yeah.
you're on your own now, and music
Yeah.
is, you know what I mean, the way it's set out now, they want to trivialize it, you
Mhm.
know.
But yeah, but I do think that there are ways to I think getting on the internet with music. So, for example, using certain platforms like SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and so on, which or different reggae platforms,
It's true, it's true,
is a way
but
that we can kind
it's
of
true, it's true. But
take it
what
back a bit.
it's,
But
I hear you, I hear you. But you
mhm,
see, what I found is like, especially amongst our generation, which reggae music appeals to, because
yeah,
what it is now, say like the younger generation, they don't buy reggae,
yeah,
especially in the black um, population.
youths, yeah,
You know, not in England anyway, as such. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Um, main buyers of reggae is Europe, or you know what I mean?
true,
It's
mhm,
20, 30 years ago it was us,
yeah.
and our children ain't buying it now. So
But I
it's
think,
like,
mhm,
and then what I'm saying is,
mhm,
I mean, I've got download cards for my album, which I've
okay,
given to people for, and you can
yeah.
download it for free. And you see a man, months later, and you say you download the album, I'll know him to download it, and it's
Okay,
free.
you know how some of us, yeah,
You know what I mean? Because it's not how you used to do your thing. I suppose our generation.
yeah.
You know,
Not
not
used to
quick to
it.
jump on it and get on it, because the way I look at it, if I can see what's happening out there, and as a conscious artist,
Mhm.
I can see like there's this I'm being blocked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, by the mainstream.
Yeah.
Because artists they've already we don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
So what it is, we don't need the mainstream. You know,
No, because
we have ourselves. That's why
yeah,
we support Auntie Jean, Market, and so forth. You
yeah,
know, because we have to be the one to support each other. You know.
yeah, and that's a wonderful collaboration as well with
Yeah.
Auntie Jean.
Mhm.
Such a beautiful spirit
Mhm.
is she. So to work with her is fantastic for anyone.
Yeah, man.
So seeing different people within the community working with Auntie Jean, who's a credit to our community,
Yeah, man.
I
We should.
think is a wonderful, wonderful thing to see that unity.
Yeah, man. Because that is, she has set the example.
Exactly.
Because we need to be supporting each other
Yes.
much more than we do. You know.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you.
So somehow we have to wake each other up to
Yeah.
the idea. When I see Auntie Jean just ram every 2 weeks when it on, I know, see, yeah, things are picking up, because we got,
Mhm.
I suppose we have to just change our tact. It's just like how, I mean, I don't know if you've heard of the Bait Fund.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
like that. I mean, we need to be more aware of these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so, we can make them things that grow up into
Yeah.
something that is, because that is the beginning of basically trying to condition ourselves to support ourselves. It's like we have to try and change our conditioning.
Absolutely, but we are. I mean, I think we're at the stage where some of us have got up from crawling and are now walking together. And
Mm.
soon as time goes on, we'll be running together. Rome wasn't built in a day, or Mecca wasn't built in a day.
That's right.
So
That's
it
right.
takes time. Or if we look at other communities, for example, like the Chinese, they start small and they consolidate and they slowly build up and then build on top of build until they have, a
That's right.
wider and larger business and
Yeah.
a bigger network of people collaborating and working together.
True.
And I think we can actually model strategies that have actually worked for the benefit of the whole.
Yeah. I think so. We
Yeah,
need to,
yeah,
because I mean, I don't usually like say like we come down on us too hard, because I remember like people just don't know. It's like
yeah,
the statement, you don't know that you don't know.
yeah.
You know.
Mhm,
'Cause when we were young, we kind of found our roots.
mhm.
Through accident or through music. You know what I mean? And through but it wasn't like from in the home.
Yeah, no.
So we kind of we didn't even know we're supposed to do nation building. You know, it's just like now, 20, 30 years later, we kind of realize this is what we should have done and and so forth.
I think
So
because
much less the youth them know who's under so much attack, and we don't seem to can have a method to fight back, media-wise.
Yeah, I think it's a two-way street. I think we have to. We're always saying we're under attack, but we have to also take responsibility for the parts that we play in these things, and we can do more things like what you're suggesting, like collaborating with people like Anti-Gene,
Yeah.
and others who are willing and actually want to see a better and brighter future, who want to see positivity, who want to see harmony, balance and love, and an embracing of the true essence of who you are. This is wonderful, but I think these small capsules that are happening throughout it's not just in London, I'm seeing it happening in Manchester, in Birmingham, Bristol. It's starting, so the ripple effect has happened.
Yeah.
But it just needs that steady stream. Just needs to start going, because you know how it is when you keep dropping water, keep doing a drop into water. It soon widens. And I think we have to allow nature to take its course, because it is taking its course. It's definitely steering in the right direction. I think there's a lot more awareness now amongst people, maybe not so much within youth culture as such, because they're still drawn in, to the temptations of mainstream society within the media side. So and are influenced like that. But the adolescents are in their development stage. But those of us who've moved beyond the development stage can see what we could have done better, why we could have done it better, and now what do we need to do to move forward to go past this stage, because we always have to be looking at solutions.
That's right. That's right.
And so what can we, so it's looking at the solutions that we can actually realistically put in place so that we can achieve them, because if something's not realistic, we can't achieve it.
That's right.
So we have to.
That's why I support the Beard Fund.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because it's real, it's there, and if we can wake up to it, that would be a good step. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Constructive step, because then if our community's got our own money, then we could plan, and do things.
Well, we can do things like what we've seen within a small capsule. I'll just mention the Nation of Islam. When I look at them, they have their own building, they operate together, they have their own order of how they do things, they cooperate with many other people. So it's that kind of unity that I'm seeing them do. So if we can do these things on small scales, we can expand now. Yeah,
that's directly. Because nation building.
Yes.
It's not realizing that we're a nation and build, you know what I mean? Because basically that's what Babylon managed to take away from us, our sense of nation. Yeah. Because
but now we know that we have it in our hands to try to make that change and do something different. So if our community is operating in the right way, in unity, and is building on strengths, not weaknesses. The weaknesses are addressed in order to heal those, so to make your weaknesses into a strength, and then start to move forward with that. Because other communities are actually doing this. So there are models out there of what we can look at to start doing that. It's like more people need to form these groups, and the groups need to collaborate with each other a lot more. And we need to see, even just within London, a north, east, south, west interlinking.
Yeah.
Also, and once we can establish that in here, then we can move out. Other cities can follow, but you have to lead by example. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
can't just be saying, "Oh, the people did this to us," and we need. We also have to take that responsibility on. We can't always stay in that vibration of victim. We
Yeah,
have
man,
to
that's
now
true.
start being in the vibration of kings and queens, you know, people who are involving, the people who are going forward, you know, people who are doing positive things. And you see, when you people from other nations see a community doing positive things, you actually start to get more respect from people.
Of course, yeah, man, definitely. Yeah.
So it will challenge a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stereotypes and these sorts of things that are happening that are causing negative interactions with certain people within structural society, within social society, within domestic society. So all of those regions can be challenged if if many of us are taking the responsibility to lead by example.
Yeah, I mean that's right. I mean, what it is, we need to know that we're one people. No
Yes,
matter where we come
absolutely.
from.
Absolutely.
We're one people. 'Cause as me say, Babylon never asked us which island we want to go to when they're taking us out of Africa. You know.
Yeah.
Likewise, when our parents came here, we didn't know what part of London, England, which part them that got settled down, and we grew up, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is
But
you know,
even though those atrocities happened to us, I must say that the Most High did have his hand there because he made sure that we were dropped in a very lush part of the world.
mm, that's why it come back to the music because
Yes.
you know it's an attack on our soul, as we say. You know what I mean? So the music when we were listening, during the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was a high resolution of consciousness. You know what I mean? Because of the music that everyone was listening to, go out and dance to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You see, I don't actually see it as an attack. For me, it's all about power. If you want to be in power, then you want to hold on to your power.
Yeah.
So regardless of which community it is, you will want to have the power over all communities. It's a little bit like when you see people in a room, there's always someone who wants to be the main spokesperson. It's this behavior taken onto a much higher level. So we see that dribbling out into all areas of the society because it's about one group having power. Now, that's fine if you are able to treat all people around you fairly. But if you can't do it fairly, then obviously we have situations like this.
Yeah, but we don't know, so them people not deal with nothing fairly. You know what I
Then,
mean?
well, as we know
no matter
this,
how hard we try, they
yeah,
don't deal with nothing fairly. So we have to be on a different footing.
yeah, that's
You
why
know
I'm
what I
saying
mean?
we have to take responsibility now. Instead of
Yeah.
keep going, please sir, can I have some more? How
That's right.
about, well, you know what? I'll pick up my shoes and I'll start walking.
Well, we can see it. That's what's happening. People are wake up.
Yes. And
People are wake up.
give thanks for that. Give
And you see, what I'm saying now is really, we have a weapon as well. Which is music.
Yes.
And it has the ability to awaken. One thing when it was something happened. My niece, who's a Christian,
Yes.
she don't really listen to reggae often, but she bought one of my albums.
Wonderful, because it
You
has a
know,
conscious message.
which is the whole idea. And what happened is she put the album in her car, and obviously she's playing it as she's taking the children to school in the morning. She sent me a WhatsApp message with her little girl and her little boy dancing up to breadbasket.
That's fantastic.
You want to the dance them put on, like the music touch them where, Jano.
Yes.
You see me, I say, and it
Yes.
just bring a joy to my heart because I say, you see, that's where the power is.
Yes.
We got to play it to the infants. Music,
Yes.
What inspired us, they need to hear.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's a subliminal way of doing it without actually preaching.
Yes. Exactly. That's what
You
I'm
know what I'm saying? You
yeah.
just hear them the music, man, and the messages just come true.
And that is leading by example.
Yeah.
those things that people think, it's just something small, it's quite big what you're doing, because you're planting seeds that will grow, positive seeds. So it's in the actions. So what you did there, give thanks, because you blessed those children.
Yeah, I tell you.
Being guided, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and you see, that's a great thing, because that is the idea why I'm even sing Two Lovers as well, you know?
Yes.
Because I really want women, especially, to buy my album.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because from they playing it in the car, they might take it.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, and I take in the vibe.
And it's a great way to deliver positive, harmonious messages.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
That
Yeah, man.
And it also keeps the mind of the children balanced. So even when they go into an environment that is very media saturated, even though they're in school, they're still all the stuff that they're sharing energy-wise with other children. At least they go in there with their frame of mind harmonious and balanced and feeling proud of themselves. Rather than feeling insecure about their hair is not long enough, or this isn't this enough, or that they don't feel out of place, because they feel sure within themselves. It's giving them that foundation that's built on solid rock rather than sinking sand.
True.
So give thanks for that, and
Yeah.
I hope that more. I can see why you're saying that, and I do hope that more women, or fathers, there are single fathers out there, or fathers who do spend a lot of time with their children.
That's right.
So it'd be nice to see them also buying the album, so that they.
Well, yes, but then naturally, if a woman will buy it, the man, then we buy it, man. We are talking. Yeah.
Definitely.
But you see, what I'm saying is, like, for example, I sell my album for £10.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm embarrassed to even sell it for £10. You know, which I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because, it took me 4 years to put the work together. Yeah. I put in, grinds in it, to make it work. Because I never really want to just bash it up. So I just wanted it to be a good work where I could involve some of the musicians I've worked with over the years. Yeah. And so that their spirit can be put into the album as well, because I believe that music is a spirit, and when you listen to a live music, sometimes you hear certain things. I listen to music all 30 years, you still hear certain things we never did hear before.
Yes,
something about live, because the science of of a, say, like a drum machine, that people that keep it like that. I mean, it's not the heartbeat. It's a drum beat. Yeah. And the thing is with the drum beat, it's accurate.
Yeah.
Too accurate.
Yes.
You see, it's the slight wavering of that beat that gives the spirit.
Yes.
You see me? I say it's accurate enough, but it's never going to be the same as the beat before.
Yeah.
You see me? I say
absolutely.
It's a very subtle thing that the spirit acknowledges.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you can feel it within your inner being. You can feel that shift when the music actually reaches you.
That's right.
You can feel it, so it makes that call, and you automatically answer and I think that it helps you to get in line.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, true. But just going forward to my album selling for £10, I mean, it's like it's the mindset thing again, because brethren I spend a £10 from some Asians or something like that, and that'll go in a day or two, but they feel a way to buy an album that's going to last a lifetime.
But you see, those who are waking up or awake will buy the album, because they want to hear positive words.
I'm true. I know the buyers out there. It's just that no one goes record shops anymore.
Yeah, that's why the internet, I think, is the next step, because then I guess people can have e-commerce websites. But
adversely, those same people who love the roots music and the culture and everything, they don't, they're not as so quick to go on the internet. They want the live thing. They want the vinyl. They want the they want the hard copy.
That's true.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, they don't go record shop to buy. So I know, because when I go out and I see some of my brethren, them certain people that I just introduce my album to, some people just take out their money quick and buy it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they see it, you know what I mean? And
I
yeah,
understand straight away.
you know what I mean? But yeah, so it's just our mindset. Because, you know, me as a person like this, me see a man and him are doing business, and I've got the money on me, I'm supporting it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Me, I support it
absolutely,
because,
definitely.
you know, that's what Black Love is. We're trying to
Yeah.
build each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can't wait till a person dead until I say, you know what I mean?
Or
Because
even waiting on other people either. Sorry to even waiting on other people to do it. That's why I'm saying we have to take the bull by its horns and do it ourselves.
yes, that's right.
Because we
That's
need
right.
to keep those businesses and those people in different areas, whether they be musicians, whether they be artists, whether they be a tradesman in a different, or whether they have a service. We need to keep them afloat so that we can have more options of being
Yeah,
able
man.
to go to
We
our
got to get
own.
serious, man, for true.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Because, I mean, I have a brethren who used to make shoes.
Wow, wonderful.
You know what I mean? And, you know, to support him, yes, but what I say is I used to think to myself, why? Imagine if we stopped buying shoes from everywhere else and just buy it from him. He would have to employ some youths and start teach them up quickly and red and before you know it, his business gone into factory.
Exactly. So it's
You know?
about us understanding that we need to put that pound into our own hands so that we
Yeah.
are able to build up that brother so that he can then employ our youths in order to be manufacturing on a larger scale. So, I mean, you know, there's so many things you think from paintbrushes right through to school uniforms, every single thing you can think of within the society that we live in. We need to be able to supply ourselves. They do it in the Chinese community, in the Turkish community. There's so many communities I can list that actually operate like this. So if other communities can operate in this way, so can we. I always
Yeah, that's
like
what I'm
this
saying.
this saying from back home: what's good for the
Yeah.
goose is even better for the gander.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 'cause I mean, it's not like we're stupid or anything. It's just that we haven't got that sense of nationhood,
Yes.
where everybody else, China man knows Chinese, you know what I mean? Turkish man knows Turkish, you know what I mean, or whatever. We are like, some we are Jamaican, some we are Trinidad, some we are this, you know what I mean? You can walk down the road and see 100 black men, and we come from 100 different places.
Well, to
You
be
know what I mean?
honest, I'm going to give
So,
you. I'm
we're
going.
too many different nations.
Yeah, but I'm going to give you an example. So, in the north of England, the northeast in Manchester, there is a large Asian community. And when I say Asian, I don't just mean Indians or Pakistanis. I mean the whole of Asia. So there's a lot of people from Central Asia, South East Asia. There's a lot of people from Northern Asia. So you have a cross section of people from different communities. There is an area in Manchester. It's quite wide. They also have another road, which you know, I won't say it's urban labelling, but the road is just over a mile long. It is back-to-back shops. There are no units empty, top nor bottom, of any business. And it is people, so this particular area doesn't have people from Central Asia, it's predominantly people from Northern Asia, so your Iraqis, your Kurdish, your Syrians, your Afghanis, your Egyptians, your Pakistanis and your Indians, all Asian people working from different communities and different cultures, working hand in hand, all down. So they've claimed this as an Asian community. So from a mile long, just over a mile long,
Wow.
back-to-back shops, and no empty units at all trading.
Yeah, well, they know, you know, they'll get the deals and the, you know, 'cause remember I said they all come, that's all war-torn countries, isn't it? I mean, and they have a sense of, yeah, well, Babylon has caused a whole about, they've got certain way where they're working with the system in it that will allow them for, work together like that. But
Yeah,
yeah, they have them examples there still. But yeah, man, we positive things is gonna happen for us. I mean, it's just
absolutely.
time and things and time. We have to just do the right thing
Yeah.
right now and keep the pressure on.
Yeah, and the reason why I use that example is not for us to say, "Oh, look what they have got." Oh my goodness, we haven't got this. It's
Mm.
actually to start looking at it as a model for inspiration.
Mhm.
How did they make those chess moves? How did they do it? So analyze it and look at it, and there are lessons to be learned that we can take from those different
Well, yeah. I
scenarios.
mean, whether they finance it themselves or they got bank loans or whatever, whatever,
Yeah,
whatever. So, yeah,
yeah.
man. I mean, it's true. It's an example we can look into, but at the same time, we have a great, well, by example, ourselves as a people.
Oh
You
yes,
know,
we've got a lot of
you
talented
know,
people, lots
we've
of
got so much
intellectuals.
examples as well
Mhm.
of great things that we've done.
Yeah.
You know, going back so many years. I mean, even in the recent times. So, it's just, as I say, directly, we stay positive. That's how we
Yeah.
can do.
Absolutely. And you're right, and you are right in saying that we mustn't forget the great contributions across all society, all global societies that our communities have contributed to the
Yeah, man.
progress and the betterment of other groups. And we have done amazing works, um, great inventions,
Well, I mean,
books. So much. There's so much things. There's a huge list. Yes, you are right. We shouldn't forget
yeah,
that.
I mean, we're the foundation of this whole world. You know,
Hmm.
let's be real. We're the foundation of this world. I mean, we've been here from creation. You
Yeah.
know, them can't put a date on how long we've been here. You know what
It's
I'm
true.
saying?
It's true.
You know,
Yeah.
and what it is like, it's an attack on our
Hmm.
spirituality. And us as a people. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, they're making sure we stay blind to ourselves
Well, you
while
see.
everyone else around us is uniting and getting on and doing their things as a
Mm,
community. You know, our community seems to be blind to itself.
not all our community. A part
No,
of
no, no,
our
no.
community.
But
Yeah.
when you put it in as a pie chart, how much percent of the community would you say is conscious? 1%?
Well, consciousness just means to be aware. It's whether people are spiritually aligned with the Most High. That's when we will start to see the true essence of consciousness.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, like for example, during the 60s and the 70s, I would say, probably 10% of us was conscious, probably even more, because of the fact that there was a lot of resistance in the 60s, especially in Africa.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true.
Enough people that rise up, you know what I mean, and looking for independence and, enough wars.
Yeah, but it's wonderful that our youths are actually there's pockets of our young people who are actually looking back at those examples and reading the history and
Yeah.
researching, because the internet is global now and is
Mhm.
so easily accessible. There's a lot of content being put up
Yeah,
there
man.
every day,
Mhm.
so they have the opportunity that many of our elders never ever had in their lifetime.
That's right.
So
That's
there's a
right.
lot of information that we are now being
Mhm.
opened up to that the ones who came before us were denied. So this is fantastic that we have this great opportunity to see the truth and actually learn and take from that and see how we can make a better future. We
Mhm.
have to
Mhm.
give thanks because our elders really didn't have that opportunity, but we need to start thinking, what steps do we need to do to really come together? What is achievable, and what can bring us that achieve? What can we do that? What can we put in place? Actions. Like it's like doing a SWOT, strengths. What is it? Strength. weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and look at it, looking at it from a business aspect. What do we do in each of those areas, and how can we move forward on those areas? So, what are our strengths as a community? What are our weaknesses? What are our opportunities? And what are our threats? How do we make our opportunities our greatest part of our strengths, and turn those weaknesses into strengths also, so we have just much more opportunities for greater expansion and development and rising up to where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, man, that's true. It's just a lot of work to do. We just have to just do it.
Yeah.
And not today. It's not for today. We just plant the seeds. Seeds are always being planted. You know what I mean? Marcus Garvey's planted the seed, and we're still here sowing the seed. You know what I mean? And it will go on. We might go on for another 100, 200 years before things turn
Maybe
over.
not. I mean, for example, we in the spiritual world, things move when they are supposed to. And in the spiritual world, the awakening will happen on a larger scale when the Most High feels fit, as we know Jah knows. So, the Arabs say, Inshallah, which is, if it is God's will. We say Jah knows. Same thing, if it is the Most High's will, which we know that it is. We are the lost children, so we know that we will be guided, we will be reconnecting for those who want to. Many are called, but how many are chosen?
Yeah, man. That's the times. The times.
So there's I think there's lots.
It's
of
not only people who's chosen; it's people who choose. Cause
exactly.
if you choose to walk in the right way and
exactly.
follow your spirit, because that's what it is. Really, they got us following their stories and how they want to perceive life.
Yes.
And we have a way. Because our African spirituality, there is a way that we used to use to program ourselves to help liberate ourselves even from ourselves. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we're selfish, we're one worst enemy, because we follow our emotions rather than follow the wisdom within us.
Yeah. I mean, yes, there are a lot of negatives that we can take about our community, and yes, it is good to highlight them so that we address them. So that some people, people act out or behave in certain ways because it's considered to be the norm. But at the same time, there's room for us to now start, because we're talking about these things. So you're now starting to ignite that thought. Oh, okay. So the next time you see these things within the community, you start to question it rather than watch it like you're watching EastEnders. The question is, oh, that's not right. We should be doing this. We should be doing that. It's like planting those seeds, as we were saying earlier. And once you start planting those seeds, it's only a matter of time before you start seeing the little stems come up. Many of us have done garden. Well, I would like to think many of us have done gardening.
As I said, things, man, are true. You see, as I said, things are laid down already. His Majesty's teachings is there as well.
Yeah.
If we follow the words that he has written, we'll be in a far, 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 far better position as a people and the world, because he spoke to the world as well, but we don't know. He tried to speak to the world, but the world don't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? They never them want to think. So we as a people, as you rightly say, we have to do what is right. You know what I mean? And and somehow turn the tide. You know what I mean? And as I said, I go back forward to music and say, well, his music is part of our weapon. You know what I mean? It's a serious weapon that if it wasn't, it wouldn't have been usurped by Babylon the way they do. You know what I mean? They don't want it to be in the mainstream. You know what I mean? So what they do, as far as I see, is take our music, our culture, and they're expanding on it and making them want to make money out of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think there's appropriation across all communities. It's just that some are appropriating our community quite a lot. Yes, I do agree. However, I think we are so creative, and we have such a capacity to constantly come up with new things that no matter how much people appropriate us, we evolve very quickly
Yeah, but it's
as a
like
people.
we've been appropriated. Our things have been appropriated from since, you know, ever since.
Yeah.
I mean, so we'll come up with the next thing, and then it'll be just appropriated again. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So somehow we have to lock our pound for waiting on
But
and make
also,
sure we
too,
we serve it amongst our people. You see me? I say
this is true, but we need to look at what they're doing, as imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
the what? Say that again.
I said imitation. Yes, we do need to do what you're saying, but
Mm.
we can't hold on to the irritation of what other people are doing with appropriation, because imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So,
I hear what you're
so
saying. I hear what you're
so
saying.
it's about
But it,
not looking at that. Yes, they're doing it, but you
yeah.
can't watch that. It's like you can't watch
No,
what you
no,
can't.
no. Me not watch it. Me not. Me stop. Me see it. Me see it. I me know it.
Yeah.
You see me? I say. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I look for it. I'm
Yes.
just saying. You know what I mean? That's what's happening, and we
Mhm.
need to wake our people up so we can. I mean, reggae music is an example of all our businesses.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That you know we don't support enough. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As a people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's you know what I mean. Basically, it's full time. All our industries get supported. You know.
Yes.
And I think let's go back to anti-gene market. That type of thing is where we need. I don't know how we can get it over. Maybe we have to knock on people's door. You know what I mean? And start reason. Yeah, because I remember still like how the insurance man used to come and knock on your door.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? And sell him thing and rate it. So, at the end of the day, that's that you sometimes you have to be proactive. Maybe this is a job for the youth. Go out there and what I mean, reach with people and make them know. You
I
know what I mean?
think.
Because sometimes when you see people face to face or talk to them,
Yeah.
you get more response than if they see a leaflet or they don't, they hear it on the radio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah. I think it's the way that we carry ourselves as well, and the way that we do things that also, because when you're constantly on Big Brother, it's very
mhm,
important that we start to operate as who we really are, so that we do set those ripples. When you're walking down the street, how many children do you see that are looking up to you, and you're not just following like a penguin the expected norm? You
mhm,
are actually being true to yourself. So that visual example already is
mhm,
planting a seed. You see, we have to, um, when something is popular or has people focused on it, it's because it's packaged in such a way that it seems to be the thing that you need to aim towards or climb towards in order to achieve what is considered as socially or
mhm,
within society as you've actually developed as a person. So there are
mhm,
certain things that are expected that you do, or the way you wear things, or the way you wear your hair and things like this. It's expected that you just fit in. And
mhm,
when you're actually being true to yourself, you're not just trying to fit into a clone ideology. You are
mhm,
actually being free within your spirit, so you are true. And that's the example which will be a greater inspiration for young people, especially when you are progressive and moving forward like yourself. You're doing very progressive things, you're speaking positive words, and you speak of, your work is about balance, it's about loving, it's
mhm,
inspirational. That these positive messages are fantastic for our youth and our children. But it's also, how do we make ourselves cool again? Because when people were listening to reggae in the earlier days, it was something that was cool.
mhm,
So how do you become that again? How do you become something that your young people look up to and want to emulate these examples of positive embracement of self?
Well, there's a few examples out there. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, that has to be like, people who are entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
as well as, they're very conscious. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because it's like it's good, all good talking the talk, but if you can
You
walk the
walk
talk,
the walk.
walk as well. Yeah,
Can
you
you
the example to
please
you them.
repeat that? That was perfect. Can you please repeat that statement? You can't just what? Talk the talk, but
Yeah, yeah, man, you got to walk the walk. You know what I mean?
yes.
Because right about now, if you're conscious, that's what because visualization is what we learn from.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so it's what people see. What the
Mhm.
youth them see, what them see around them. You know what I mean? And who are run things and who are do things. You
Yes.
know, that's why I love Saturday schools and all the work that the bridge and them doing and that. It's for the whole idea is for us to have our own schools.
Yes.
Because that all of what we're talking here, don't mean nothing until we're getting it through to the youths, them heads.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
you know they're the ones who are going to make the next change. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
All they
you need,
need to see it's not just for us to deliver it to the youth so they can pick up the baton. It's
mhm,
also that we actually show them how to start walking with that baton. So, we are now in a position that we can be an example so the youths don't look back at us and say, well, you didn't do nothing. You didn't try to help. You didn't, you have to be the example. And,
yeah, I hear what you're saying.
yeah, and I
I hear
do
what you're saying,
think
but it's like
people like
from
what
my
you.
perspective,
Mhm.
I'm in my 50s now. So my youth them is like in the 30s. You know what I mean? And so I look on grandchildren now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like them, like the ones in the 30s, them don't feel to them set already and the system. You know what I mean? And you know think they know it all or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So at this present time, who I'm setting an example for is grandchildren and the youngers. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah.
Because somebody them who past 15, 16, 17 feels to them, unless, you see, what I would love to be in a position to create, music, because that's my talent, that would be more, somehow merge the reggae with what they're doing,
Yeah.
to get into that vibration and, make it more positive, you know what I mean? By, interacting with them youth on that level and, make them realize what time of day it is really, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Absolutely.
So, but we're all restricted by our life that we have, and we'd love to do certain things, and we just probably can't get to do them at this present time. But them things they can still work. It just depends on who you have around you and
Around
so
you.
forth. But I mean, if I can inspire someone to say, well, go out there and um, you know, find a way to merge roots reggae and grime or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
It could be very interesting. I mean, so many
Yeah,
of our
man.
young people,
Because I'm sure because it's
yeah,
all off the same thing anyway. So
yeah.
but somehow, so that the youth can get on board and what we do.
Mhm.
Because it, that'd be the greatest movement ever.
Absolutely, because it's great if we could start, if we can start seeing people like yourselves and others coming
Yeah,
together so that
yeah,
they
man.
can teach the youths and direct.
Yeah.
Because so many are talented, but they're very talented, and
Mm,
many of them have got musical capacity,
that's
but it
right.
needs the direction of people like you and other
Mm.
musicians who can
And
really
you
take
see,
them under
and
the wing.
sorry to
Mhm.
cut you, but I mean,
That's okay.
you know, um, you know, the same type of thing with music. It could be with carpentry, electronics. You know, there's mana in the community that have these skills. You know what I'm saying? That we need a center where we can, engage with them, the youth, them who's around 15, 16, 17, and help get them these skills. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
Music is one aspect, but
other areas,
there's
because
all the areas. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And there's people amongst us in our generation that have all those skills. It's just
mhm,
that we're not somehow. If we have a center, that's why I say, well, if we can support the Baitfund.com, check it out,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
and have our own funds so we can have centers. We should have centers like this, so we can, because Babylon not do it for we.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Them not do it, so it's up to us. But as I said, music. I'm in love music, and music has been good to me.
Yes.
I didn't say I make $1 million out of it, but it's taken me around the world.
Fantastic.
As a musician, because as a singer, I'm basically, I put my first album out first album got 2004, but my
Yeah.
first tune actually was called Mother's Cry,
Ah.
97.
Mhm. And what was
See?
Mother's Cry? What was the message? What was that?
Mother's
particular-
Cry, it was
Yeah.
Mother's Cry. They cry for their children.
Wonderful.
Food, clothing, and shelter is all we require. Yeah, Mother's cry. Father is far. There's nothing to eat. No money to spend. That's that kind of vibration.
Wonderful, wonderful. Give thanks, give thanks.
Yeah,
That's
man.
wonderful.
And then we put out a tune called Education.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which is basically inspired by my mom. She always just pushed me to get education and rated, and I suppose things you should have done, get to them. But at the same time, the tune is basically the title. It says, "Learn your books in this time. Education is a must." Learn your books in this time. Education is a must. Mother, I know you've done your best. Now it's up to us to do the rest. And I took that as,
Yeah.
my call to say, well, Mayor, what did my mother bring me here for? Not just to learn Babylon education. To learn
Absolutely.
my history and my culture, and because she never know it,
Yeah.
but me get to come to know it,
Yeah.
and that is the greatest thing,
Absolutely.
and so my father was a pastor in the church, and
Oh, wow.
in a sense, as a musician, you kind of, as a singer, you kind of pastorizing, you're sending a message out there as well.
Yeah, true, true.
You know what I'm
True.
saying? So
It
it's,
is, yeah.
but to me, it's a righteous message. Not that my father wasn't a righteous message, but because that's one thing with the growing up in the church. The morality and the community spirit
Yeah.
was ISIS. You know what I mean? I would have
Absolutely.
stayed there if it was Marcus Garvey thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know them
Yeah.
way there. Because
Yeah.
church is nice, apart from the fact that the doctrine kind of mix up.
Yeah.
And when you get to
absolutely.
realize, that they beat that into us, and because even now when I go to a send off, and I hear the Amazing Grace thing, it rankles my spirit, You know what
But
I mean? Because
think
when
that's-
you know, you know.
Mhm.
If you don't know, everybody you're ignorant. But why to think say, wow, we still caught up in that after all these years, and
Yeah.
my days, it's painful, but that's the reality. You know what I mean? That we're still in it.
But I think that's one of the things that has changed within our modern society in this generation. The previous generations actually had their bonding a lot with operating in communities things. People used to run partners. They used to do different social activities together. I mean, for example, I could just talk about dominoes, for example, or different cooking things women would do together, or crocheting together, or partnering. They did a lot of things in unity, and it was a direct translation from the way they lived back home and what they'd learnt from their parents and their parents before. What we've lost here is our traditions.
That's right.
And we've replaced them with traditions that don't relate to our
But
ancestors, and they can't
exactly,
connect to
and
that.
You see, me I say, and the greatest thing we learn about the African spirituality, that was the reason for rites of passage.
Yes.
Because you had to become a man.
Yes.
You're a man. You're there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had to qualify.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before you can own land, marry, and function in society.
Yeah, but
That
that's
means-
what's the change in this society, Barry, because this society, you go from childhood to adolescence, and then you're an adult.
Yeah.
But within our traditional societies, you start off as a child, but
Mhm.
when you reach those ages of what is called here adolescence, because
Mhm.
that's only a recent term for them, because adolescents used to be working here. You know, you'd see the children up the chimneys and all those sorts of
Mhm.
things. So there
Mhm.
has been a change for them after post-war. There was this adolescence term. But in our communities, traditionally, we go from childhood into being trained. It's kind of like a training
Mhm. Yeah, man.
into adulthood.
That's
So
right.
you can't just run wild as an adolescent. Yes, you can, obviously, you're with your friends, you do this, you do that, but there are strict guidelines and rules. But, you know, all that's changed with, you know, the
Well, I mean, the
historical
fundamental thing
context.
about
Hmm?
what was doing in Africa, it was a mind thing.
Yes.
You had to be able to control your emotions,
Yes.
keep it in check.
Mhm.
Your emotion is underneath your wisdom.
Mhm.
So you observe wisdom is, that's why they respect the elders.
Yeah.
Even if a man was 1 day older than you, you have to respect him.
Yeah.
Give him that respect until him give you reason not to respect him. But, it was about training your will
Yeah.
to control your emotions. So, what I mean? It was like hero training.
Yeah.
To become a man, you had to be able to control your will. So you overs your emotions.
Mhm.
So you don't act emotionally.
Yeah.
You act according to wisdom. You know what I mean? And that's what will save you because if all
Mhm.
these youths going around stabbing each other, they're acting according to emotions.
Yeah, but also they
But if
became.
they check the
Mhm.
wisdom, they wouldn't do what they do. They would
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean? They would have blown up because wisdom means that you could end up like in prison for 20 years or 30 years and red tear
Exactly.
10. You know what I mean?
But that's where our responsibility comes in, because these children that we talk about that are within our ancestral people, they didn't just become those things. They were actually trained how to be those things. So what we need now to emulate and reclaim is that authority to be able to train children. So are you a leader? What is your moral grounding? What are your ethics? How do you actually think within your inner self? What is your want for your own community, and how can you help to better it? These are the people who are standing on solid, the ones that are standing on solid rock. Those are the
Yeah, I mean,
ones that can actually
yeah, I
start to
mean,
help the youth.
that's right. I mean, yeah, because what you have to instill is that it's your duty,
Yes, it
a
is.
sense
It's your
of
moral
duty.
duty.
Yeah,
Absolutely, hundred
sense
percent.
of duty.
Yes.
Because, who said it to me? Brother Quasi. It's like, girl was saying, yeah, man, me get this, get a support, me support the team. So, no, man, when I give support, You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a duty, Virgin.
it is. It
You know
is.
what I mean? It's
Yeah.
a duty.
Yeah.
You know? That's what sense of nation it is. If one man can't do it, next man step in, it's just in duty. You know what I mean? But you have to go through rites of passage for these things. For you to, that's why, for example, Islam them so serious. Because they do have that type of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where you have to pray every, they have a certain, it gives you a certain spiritual strength.
That's 100% true, because for those of you who listened to previous shows of mine
Hmm.
before this conversation with Barry, know that I've grown up alongside an Arabic community,
Hmm.
and we're very closely knitted with people from like Basra in Iraq,
Hmm.
and I can testify that 100%. Their children, once they get to a certain age, well, before they get to
That's
teenage
right.
years, they actually start it very early. They start training them, or educating
You see
them
me, I say?
within
Hmm.
their, yeah, I mean, you're going to Arabic school like
Exactly.
twice a week, and Arabic school is not, you're not just learning Arabic, you're actually learning the ways of your community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see me, I say?
So if you're not
That's it.
getting that input at home, because maybe your parents are working, or maybe you've only
Mm.
got you're a single parent family, whether male or female, and you
Mm.
don't have a lot of, so you send your children to a safe place
Mm.
where your community can educate them and you know so it's the model that we had in Africa. It's the community that raises a child. They emulate. They really embrace that.
Mm. Okay.
And these are certain traditions that we've forgotten. Why with other people are
Mhm.
raising our children.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Good
That's true.
examples. Good examples.
Yeah, man. That's
And
true, man. That just show you say it work.
yeah, it does.
That you know
Absolutely.
that is what it's about. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
take their thing serious. You see me? I say where
Mm.
because I look, for example, yeah. My reading age was when I was a youth I thought I was going to be a doctor.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's where my sights was when I was 5, 6. Man, I had my doctor book on me. You know what I mean? I mean, I
Yeah.
look through. I mean, can see the heart and along there. You know what I mean? And all them things there.
Yeah.
You know.
Mhm.
And I remember at school, when we were about 7, 8, 9. They used to give you a reading age test. You know.
Yeah.
And I mean, and when kind of my reading age was like 14 something, and you know, and African brother that was in my class, my reading age was more than him. He was 13 something.
Yeah, because I
But
think in our community traditionally, when
but
mm,
yeah, I was just saying.
yeah,
Yeah. So what happened is we used to laugh after him because he never used to know none of the program that we used to watch on television.
yes,
You see me, I say, because in part I used to stop him from watching television in the week.
okay,
In fact, the only day I could have watched television was Saturday, and that was only Saturday afternoon or something like that, a little while.
mhm,
But what it is, he's a doctor now.
you see,
You see what I'm trying to say to you?
but that's about guidance. You see,
So it's like who laughed last, laughed first. You see, he's a doctor.
yeah,
And
that's because he's having good guidance. So
it's just, you see, it's how, as a parent, how serious you are.
yeah,
How serious you are to curb them and, take away their comforts,
yeah,
to make them be who you visualize them to be.
mhm,
You see me, I say, that is
absolutely,
the effort you have to put in.
yes, it's
You know what I
based,
mean? And when you're a young parent, you
mhm,
don't know that.
yeah,
And by the time you realize, them, you know, had you know it, like, well, I mean, I tell you. So, yeah,
no,
I
it's
know.
true. It's
So,
true words that you're speaking there. True
mm,
words,
well,
but
life is
just
very good, but it just shows our potential and
yes,
what we
it
must
does
do for our children. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Because especially in the song "Talk to Me," right, where I sing "Talk to Me," it was a life experience. I
Yes.
used to come in from work, yeah, because what happened is when I met my first well, we didn't get married, but she had
First
4 children
partner.
for me,
Yeah.
and but prior to that, I mean, I met her in a club and so forth. Nice lady, man. But what it is, she was not on my sort of like spiritual journey. Where I was like finding my culture,
Yeah.
she weren't on that. She like prefer like you know talking about people business and all them kind of thing. With me, I talk about bigger affairs. You know what I mean? You see me, I say, and and as
Yeah.
my
No,
locks
I
was getting
understand.
longer, her skirts was getting shorter, and the nails them I get longer. Yeah, you understand? And then what's
Yeah.
happening is that when I was coming from work, we got on a great, even though we had different, we were going great. When I coming from work now, it's like in the early days when the Houston was toddlers and so forth. When they come in, it's daddy, 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 they rush to me and hug me up, and it was about daddy. And as
Mhm.
soon as the EastEnders and all them Jerry Springer, the EastEnders especially,
Mhm.
they're telling me to shush when I'm coming in the house. I'm disturbing it.
Yeah.
You
So
know what
was
I mean? It's
that
like
the
I'm with you right at one
inspiration?
here.
So
You
was
know?
this the inspiration for Talk to Me?
Yeah.
Uh huh.
You know what I mean? And then I realized we're watching too much TV. You know what I mean? That's what all our families are caught up watching this thing, which
Yeah.
they're programmed. They them have the fears, the cheek, because it's a program, That means them a program.
I
You see
think
me? I
when
said them tell you there's a
yeah,
program.
I think
You know
when
what I
you
mean? Right? And then what happens is that when you look on a pie chart, you say, all right, you sleep for 8 hours. Children go to school for about 6 hours,
yeah,
but traveling, breakfast, rare, 8 hours. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So that leaves 8 hours. So then you come home from school, what you're sitting in front of the TV for 4 hours or maybe. You know what I mean? Homework maybe an hour. But then how much time do you look into your UMI? You think to yourself, well, how much hours do I spend looking into my youth? And my youth them is looking into the eyes of their school friends and the teachers and where for all them hours. But I'm gonna probably go up there and read him a story. You know what I mean? 20 minutes, half an hour. Goodbye, good night, rare. And
Is
then,
it?
when them grow up to teenager, you wonder why them not do what you say.
Yeah, you see it a lot. Many of our youths are like that. In
Yeah,
this
it's not we that
generation.
program them.
Yeah.
It's
So,
the TV
was that
and the
also?
other things. If we turn that off in the home, then you can turn your home into whatever you want it to be.
Exactly. Was that an inspiration for the song "Free Up Your Mind"? Was that also? Did that also trigger?
Free up, yeah. Well, free up my mind is like a combination of the whole of it. You know what I mean? Because if we could just free up our minds and look into our history and culture and see what we really are, because we have a responsibility, because we are, if we really look into the thing deep, we might be alright over here, but with that, brothers are dying over there, and getting shot and getting poisoned and getting this and getting that, and we're going around in oblivion.
Okay. Yeah, it's true. Well,
You
I
know?
think I think the consciousness is rising in people, so there is an awareness that's being lifted. So like it's maybe in small pockets. However, it is growing because, like I'm saying, I never used to see these sorts of activities that are happening in our community. Positive things that people are doing. That's a great, like was saying before, is a greater good for all of the society. If we're operating in a particular manner that is beneficial to us, we can also benefit others. This sort of thing, I haven't, is now over the, recently I've started to see it a lot because I travel outside of London often. So
Okay.
it's nice to see these capsules starting to bubble in other cities. Well, 10 years ago, you were not seeing it like this. It was almost dormant within our community. Any of these kinds of interactions and engagements between two people, like you were saying yourself with Auntie Jean, Brother Dougie, he does his thing. We weren't having many stations, especially in the north, like this.
Yeah.
Bless Radio. You couldn't get Bless Radio up there. Something like this. But now people have started to tweak what they are doing and starting to look more forward because people want to hear a different song now. They want to hear a new tune. We've been,
Yeah, man,
you know
that's
what
true,
I
man,
mean?
that's true. Talk about
Fresh.
tune. Let me hear a tune now.
So I can play. You've got a single coming out, haven't you?
I do have a new single coming out soon,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Do you want to tell us a bit about the single and then I'll play it for everyone to hear?
Yeah, it's actually a tune that the rhythm was built by my brother in Cleveland, who
Yes.
who he's at he used to be a part of the PCJ, Preacher
Yeah.
Clevie and Jeffrey. They've had seven number one hits as well themselves.
Yeah.
But Clevie's my brother, and he used to be in a part of Sunset Band from back in the days.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm actually singing on a rhythm that is not me, Bill.
Okay. Oh, that
Yeah,
would be
you know what I mean?
interesting.
So I thought to myself, yeah, because he uses a drum machine, but him play a thing live.
Mm-hmm.
But him know if we work it, that sounds sweet. You hear it anyway. This one is called Joy. And,
Joy. I got you.
yeah, I've done about 5-6 songs with him. So I'm going to, eventually it's an EP that I'm going to be putting out hopefully by the end of the year.
Okay, fantastic.
You know what I mean? So, I've actually worked with a few other producers, trying to, rather than me do the music, I'll try some things with other producers. Just to see what comes up. And, when people give me their rhythm, it's amazing. You just get you get a song from it.
Yeah, different.
So it's a different way of looking at it. So
Yeah. That's
I've been working
positive.
with that for a while. But I hope to have a new album out by somewhere in the middle of 2019.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we look forward to
Yeah,
hearing
man.
that new album. I'm just going to play this.
Yeah,
track
I'm just
of
going to go off
yours.
and get some water to drink. Yeah, I'm just going to come
Okay.
back.
All right. I'll play this track. Give thanks. So this is the track from Barry Dread, the new single about to come out. It's called I Got Joy. Beautiful.
Mm.
That was the new track from Barry Dread, and it was
Mm.
called I Got Joy. Are you with us, Barry?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
Mm.
That's a wonderful track.
If,
Beautiful. That's a state that we all want to be in, to be feeling
yeah.
that joy. That's wonderful.
Mm. Yeah, man. I'm
Absolutely. So,
feeling
when
it.
is that going to be released again for those who've just joined us on the
That should be released in the next couple of weeks, you know.
Okay,
Yeah,
fantastic.
man. Yeah, man.
That's
But it's gonna
beautiful.
be only available for downloads.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
'cause
Where's
you
that
know, yeah.
availability going to be? How can people find you?
I'll probably do it on CD Baby, but be available on Amazon and iTunes and all of them sites there.
Okay, so just generally on regular social media, they'll be able to tap you in to Google and find you. That's fantastic. Give thanks.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
I just want to ask you one last question because we need to wrap up because it's towards the end of my show, and I just wanted to know. What do you like to do outside of music that actually contributes to your musicality? So by that I mean, what hobby? Do you have a hobby? How do you rejuvenate your creativity in order to come up with such inspirational words?
Well, I mean, I read. Reading is my hobby.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I like a good book, and read about my knowledge, my history and my culture and spiritual matters and political
Sorry,
things.
you're a little bit low.
Yeah, you
Ah,
can hear me
this is
now.
but this is better. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. As I said, so I like reading books and that kind of
Mhm.
thing. Rejuvenate my mind
Okay.
at all
Okay.
times. Keep it
Yeah.
ticking over, like
Yeah.
searching for information on my people.
Yeah.
Research on certain things. But differently, I mean, I don't have a lot of leisure time, because I'm a carer. I do care for my son, you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I do play bass for a lot of artists outside there,
Mhm.
At the
Mhm.
moment, I've been working with Carol Thompson and Don Penn and um, Janet Keir,
Mhm.
and
Wonderful.
yeah, man, and
Wonderful.
as I said, IQ is coming over, so
Mhm.
we should be at the One Love Festival and so forth. Um,
Fantastic. And this is
that's,
great inspiration because now people are seeing that here's this musician who has a child, is looking after the child, but also is a bassist, also writes songs, and
mm,
also is a singer and doing
yeah,
many great works and actually speaking positive words and doing performances. So that in itself is an inspiration to you, any people coming up and coming in the music industry who can see within our community there are examples of people like Barry Dread right here,
give thanks.
um, who are doing and operating in their true selves. So that inspiration there for the youth that you're laying down is I have to say, is like Jah works really.
Give thanks. Yeah, man, a true
Hmm.
man, a true,
So
a rocky road,
Barry, thank you very much for joining us on Bless Radio.
Oh, it's been a
Give
pleasure. It's really
give
has.
thanks for the reasoning, and
Yeah.
we're looking forward to hearing your album, your next track coming out soon.
Yes, sure, yes. I'm gonna get it out there. So yeah, man. I hope the listeners loved it.
Yes,
Yeah, man, I gotta push that out there and see what
yeah,
happened. I
fantastic.
give thanks for inviting me on. Making me feel special. You know what I mean?
Oh,
'Cause
you're very
I said
welcome.
go.
We're
You
very
know what I
welcome.
mean?
Well, this is
'Cause
Bless Radio, you see, Barry.
yeah,
Bless
man,
Radio.
feel well
That's what
blessed.
we're here
'Cause
for.
at the end of the
Mhm.
day, you do your works. Put in 4 or 5 years of work and you put it out there. And
Mhm.
we don't have our own media, as such. There's no
Mhm.
magazine writing up. I mean, Reggae Bill refused to write up.
Mhm.
The Echoes, when used to name Black Echoes, no, it named just Echoes.
Mhm.
Them no write up nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's a good work. Just like my album came out 2016, and I was involved in another great album called Architect. I don't know if you heard that album by Subaja.
No, I haven't heard that one. No, no, no.
Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
remember tough
Mhm.
album as well,
Tough.
right?
Okay.
And um, and I work with that artist. In fact, we're going to be at Hootenanny with AKBK on the 27th of September. So check that show out. That should be good. AKBK down there, and we're supporting them. Super Jack.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic.
so yeah, must check that one out. All the listeners and team, come down to Hootenanny on the 27th. See Barry Dread with Super Jack and AKBK, you know, from midnight. You know what I'm saying? So that should be a great show down there.
Oh,
you know?
Wonderful. And I hope the listeners, many of you who've enjoyed the music that you've heard from Barry, will actually go and support what he is doing and, you know, be there listening to him perform and actually buy his album, buy his tracks.
Yeah, man, because I never even talked about the title of my album called Breadbasket.
Yeah, wonderful.
You know, called myself, because Breadbasket of the world, and everyone I eat out of it, you know? Seeing?
Yes.
And it's available in all good record shops. Seeing?
Oh, fantastic.
The hard copies, you know, it's a joy to get it. Just go in the shops and, you know, support it.
Okay.
Seeing?
So
and ask them to play it if you don't even want to support it and listen it. You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
So other people can in the shop can hear it too. Because sometimes the man them not, you know, them not dry it out. You know what I mean?
So is there an email that you'd like to give out for a music email for anybody who would like to contact you before we end? Because I've got a few minutes.
Yeah, you can contact me on Barry Dread Bass. Barry Dread Bass at barrydreadbass@gmail.com.
Okay, fantastic. That's the easy one to remember.
barrydreadbass@gmail.com.
Okay. So for those of you who didn't quite hear that was barrydreadbass@gmail.com. Yeah. So give
and
thanks.
As I said, my music, the album, you can download it from CD Baby, iTunes, Amazon. Seeing? Just check it out for me forward, please.
Yeah, fantastic. Give thanks for that. So we're going to wrap up now, Barry, because there's somebody else who's going to come on and play.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for being with us here on Blessed tonight.
Yeah, man.
And for those of you who tuned in halfway in our reasoning, you can catch it on the YouTube on Bless Radio 1. For those who want to hear the parts that they missed. So give thanks for that. Thank you so much, Barry. Thank you. Give thanks and have a wonderful weekend.
I will do. I bless. Jah
Rastafari. Yes, that was the wonderful Barry Dread, and reasoning with us here tonight on Bless Radio on the Sista Lil show. So now we're going to play a track for you, and it's by Vibronics featuring Ja Mariah, and it's called Tra La 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 La. So here we go.
I mean, it's a great is you know, that put their trust in the Most High and abided under the shadow of the Almighty. Well, alright, watch out. Hey. Cha-la-la-la-la-la-la. Cha-la-la-la-la. Cha-la-la-la-la-la-la. I and I show Jah Rastafari. Yeah. Heal up the Most High. Yeah. Cha-la-la-la-la-la-la. Cha-la-la-la-la. Cha-la-la-la-la-la-la. I show Jah Rastafari, yeah. Heal up the Most High, yeah. We have to heal up the Most High, Jah. Hail in the Most High, Jah. We have to heal up the Most High, Jah. I conqueror, yo. We have to heal in the Most High, Jah. Hail up the Most High, Jah. We have to heal up the Most High, Jah. I conqueror. Jah is the seed, the root, the stem, the branch, and the leaf. Jah is the veg, the fruit, the herb, the birds, and the bees. Jah make the earth, the sky, the land, and distant seas. That's why we have to give Jah all the thanks and praise. Jah live in a I, Jah live in a you, Jah love is all around. No place on this earth where Jah love is never found, yo. How my sound well, tell me how my sound well. I still I see I will the triple crown. Cha la 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 la, cha la 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 la, cha la 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 la. I and I show Jara Safari, yeah. Heal up the most high, yeah. So cha la 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 la, cha la 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 la, cha la 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 la. I and I show Jara Safari, yeah. Heal up the most high, yeah. Jah is the flowers, the trees, and all good things like these. Jah is the rain, the snow, the sun, and the cool breeze. Jah is the sun, the moon, the stars, and all living things. Universal waves, four corners, four winds. Jah is the truth, the light, my rock, protect us from sins. Jah is the right, the side, my mind to keep us right. Wherever you go, wherever you step, remember that Jah, more blessings and joy, the most I will provide. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. I and I show Jara Safari, yeah. Heal up the most high, yeah. So la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. I and I show Jara Safari, yeah. Heal him the most high, yeah. So we are feeling the most high, yeah. Hail up the most high, yeah. We are feeling the most high, yeah. I and I conquerors. So we are feeling the most high, yeah. Hailing the most high, yeah. We are feel up the most high, yeah. I and I conquerors. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. I and I show Jara Safari, yeah. Feel up the most high, yeah. So la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. I and I show Jara Safari, yeah. Feel him the most high, yeah. So we are feeling the most high, yeah. Hail up the most high, yeah. We are feeling the most
This one is Brisbane featuring Prince David. It's called Ruler of Creation.
Sing the offers never been told. Jah is the ruler of creation, say, who Jah bless, no man curse. Jah is the leader of a nation, say, sing the offers never been told. It shall be lightning and thunder. say, who Jah bless, no man curse. Jah is the leader of a nation, say, sing the offers never been told. Jah is the ruler of creation, say, who Jah bless, no man curse. Jah is the leader of a nation, say, sing the offers never been told. It shall be lightning and thunder.
This track is called High Meditation, and it's Land of Zebulon and This one's for Beacon. Hope you're enjoying the track. This track is Keezy Roots, and it's called My Brothers and My Brothers in
Jah will never ever let you down, never let you down. Don't worry, my brother, your liberation's round the corner. Worry not, my sister, Jah will never ever let you down. But you must always be tactful in life, try to never speak your words of harm. When you're at one with yourself, you can weather any storm, yo. Always try and be brave of heart. Renew yourself to new confidence. Not with arrogance, no, but with love and patience. Don't worry, my brother. Your liberation's on the corner. Jah will never ever let you down, never let you down. Don't worry, my brother, your liberation's round the corner. Worry not, my sister, Jah will never ever let you down. Problems will always be there, choices you make, working around. Come voice with reason, you got it better than to shout, yo. Don't let foolish people get you down. For it is said, age that little more every time you frown. Hey, don't worry, my brother, your liberation's round the corner. Worry not, my sister, Jah will never ever let you down, never let you down. Don't worry, my brother, your liberation's round the corner. Worry not, my sister, Jah will never ever let you down, never let you down, never let you down, never let you down, never let you down. Hey. Problem will always be there, it's how you choose, working out, yeah. Cowboys with reason, got to be better than to shout, yeah. Don't let foolish people get you down. For it is said, ain't that little more every time you frown, yeah. Don't worry, my brother, don't worry, my brother, your liberation, yo, just around the corner. Don't worry, my brother, no fret not, my sister. No, your liberation, yeah, just around the corner, yeah. Hey. Always try and my sister.
Hidden must reveal it, feel it. One Jaja now. One
This is for Claire
from
and Let.
ancient time
It's King
when I
Alpha
realize
and
Rastafari
Pose
light. Yeah. Echoes from ancient time. Man arise, woman arise. Yeah. Echoes from ancient time when I amplify Rastafari vibe. Yeah. Echoes from ancient time. Man arise, amplify. When I hear the rhythm, I hear an ancient song. Sound. It reminds me of the glory of Mount Zion. Zion. This sound it is a warrior, warrior. This sound it is a soldier, soldier. This sound it is a warrior, warrior. Yeah, echoes from ancient times when I realize Rastafari light. Yeah, echoes from ancient must reveal it, feel it. Only Jaja now. Only echoes from ancient time. When I realize Rastafari light. Echoes from ancient time. Man arise, woman arise. Yeah. Echoes from ancient time. When I amplify Rastafari vibe. Echoes from ancient time. Man arise, amplify. Yeah. When I hear the rhythm, I hear an ancient song.
The Lord love the gates of Zion, with all dwellings of man. Yes, yes. Glorious things are spoken of thee, Almighty City of Jah, Rastafari. But the Lord love the gates
This
of
track
Zion,
is by Barry Isaacs and it's called
glorious
Zion's
things are spoken of the
Highest
Isaac
Region.
Zion, yeah. Not to say them chant it go a Zion, yes. Bingy man a chant, I bingy, say Rasta man is tip it go a Zion.
This track is going out for Bingy Man and Nariba.
For Jah Rastafari, up the gates of Zion, with all dwellings of I and I. Glorious things are spoken of Rastafari, yes. When I make mansion and mansion of I and them that know Rastafari, yes. Trad it, so not it, burn up the chalice, yes. Dash away the malice, you know, but there's no malice in the king's palace, yes. I and I tried it with King Selassie, I round about I and I, round about I and I, that time, now one for right.
Hey Tasha, I can see you throwing down some moves there.
Lord love with the gates of Zion, with all dwellings of light, all dwellings of man. Glorious things are spoken of Rastafari, city of the eye. Kings and queens, prince and princesses shall rise up and praise the Almighty. Out of Ethiopia, I stretch forth our hands unto Jah Rastafari. Yes, as well as the singers, players of instruments shall be there. All thy springs are in Rastafari. Haile Selassie. Zion! Zion, you know, highest region. Zion! Yes. Rastafari love the gates of Zion, more all dwellings of I and I. Glorious things are spoken.
Hope you're all near a fan because it's hot in here.
City of the eye, without no pity. Yeah, Babylon city. Burn down the city without no pity. Babylon shitty. Babylon city. There is no pity. So not to burn the chalice, yeah, dash with the malice. Rastafari the praise. Yeah? The Lord loves the gates of Zion with all dwellings of I and I. Glorious things are spoken of Rastafari city. Yes? Zion. Zion! The highest region in Zion. Zion is the highest region. When I give thanks and praise, you know, while burning the chalice, while chalice blaze. Yeah. Gather round. Make a joyful sound unto the King. Sing unto him with a voice of triumphant. For the Lord Most High is terrible and dreadful. A great King for all the earth. Yes? King of kings, Lord of lords, conquering Lion of Zion. Yes, sir. Zion! Zion is the highest region. The Lord love the gates of Mount Zion. More than all the dwellings of I and I are the dwellings of man. Yes? Zion! Got to be in Zion, you know? Here, River Jordan, a roll. Got to be in Zion. The Lord love the gates of Zion. Zion! The Lord love the gates of Zion, with all dwellings of man. Yes? Glorious things are spoken of thee, O mighty city of Jah Rastafari. But the Lord love the gates of Zion, with the dwellings of I and I. Glorious things are spoken of the high city of Jah. Zion! So not to burn the chalice. Yes, Zion. Zion.
tongues. Oh, yeah. A Jah make we, oh gosh, that's why we have to praise him, praise him, praise him. A Jah make we, oh Lord, that's why we have to thank him, thank him, thank him. A Jah make we, oh gosh, now that's why
This track is by Singer Blue and it's called Who Make We.
Jah make we, oh gosh, that's why we have to thank him, thank him, thank him. He made the trees for us, he made the birds in the air, he made the fishes for us. No need to fight nor fuss. The sky is the limit for the people, so down to abuse it, no. Just stay in line and don't look behind. No, no, a Jah make we, oh gosh, that's why we have to thank him, thank him. Oh gosh, a Jah make we, oh gosh, now that's why we have to thank him, thank him, thank him. Jah make we, oh gosh, now yes we have to love him, love him, love him. Jah make we, oh gosh, that's why we have to praise him, praise him, praise him. Because the birds is in the air and the fish is in the sea. He made the trees for you and me. That's why we have to thank him. Oh gosh, he made the birds for us. Oh gosh, he made the fishes in the sea. He made the trees for us. Oh gosh, that's why we have to thank him. Jah make we, oh gosh, that's why we have to praise him, praise him, praise him. Jah make we, oh gosh, now that's why we have to thank him, thank him, thank him. Jah make we, oh gosh, that's why we have to love him, love him, love him.
Going to
Jah make we, oh gosh, now that's why we have to thank him. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Heavenly Father, oh gosh, now, my Heavenly Father, you are a Heavenly Father, oh gosh, now, you are a Heavenly Father, oh gosh, that's why you make me, oh gosh, that's why we have to thank you, thank you, thank you. A Jah make we, oh gosh, now that's why we have to praise him, praise him, praise him. Jah make we, oh gosh, now that's why we have to love him, love him, love him now. Jah make we, oh gosh, now that's why we have to praise him, praise him, praise him. Listen, he made the trees for us, he made the birds in the air, he made the fishes for us. No need to fight nor fight.
This is the last track I'm playing out. And it's called Mental Freedom by Kabir Al Amlak. So this was Bless Radio and you were tuned into the Sista Lil show. Have a great weekend.
Bless Radio. Bless Radio. You're in tune to Bless Radio.